Hi, everybody. We are going to talk about the major planetary shifts for January 2024. All right. This is going to be a powerful time to start the new year. We're going to look at the outer planets and their shifts. There'll be upcoming videos about the whole year ahead and predictions, and also the next 2 years, because we're having major shifts in energies. So right now we're going to talk about January of 2024. If you have a natal chart in your hand, bring it out so you could get an idea as to what is going to make contact with your natal chart, and that will give you a forecast if you know how to read charts. If not, get in touch with us and we'll help you out. If you want a free chart, but sometimes they're erroneous because there's no way to really double check if you put the information in correctly. However, astro.com is okay. And also just follow along. If you like what you hear, of course, always follow, subscribe. And if you want short versions of what we do, check us out on TikTok. So we are gonna also look at the whole month as far as the other planets. But the big focus is Pluto is going into Aquarius, okay? So I hope you have your charts ready. And if you don't have a chart, you could go on astro.com. And I am Ev Zervoudakis, founder of Holistic Healing Astrology. More than happy to teach you all how to look at your own natal chart and how to see what is making contact to your natal chart. Keep it simple, you guys. If you don't know anything about aspects or relationships between different planets, just know that if it is making a direct contact, then you're being affected, okay? We won't get fancy. So I am going to share the screen with a program that I use called iFemeris, and we're going to look and see what is going on at the moment, and we're going to bring it in to January so you could see what is going on the 1st of January, okay? And so January 1st, at night, Eastern time, you're going to see one of the first things that happens is that Mercury does go direct. So Mercury is right here, and that little R after the minute and the Sagittarius symbol is going to move forward. By the next day, it's direct, okay? The RX disappears, all right? So that is the first thing that we're going to see here. The other thing that we're going to look at is Pluto. That's the big deal for this year. Pluto is changing signs. So after 29 degrees Capricorn, what happens? We don't go to 30, we go to 0. So when we count in astrology, we go 29 and then 30. All right. And that's going to bring us into a new shift of energy. All right. So we're going from heavy earth, solid earth, to air. Now, what would you rather carry? Earth, rocks, soil, dirt, or air? Air. Air is much lighter. So what does that mean in plain ordinary language? Well, I'm going to make several videos about the upcoming changes with this huge planetary shift. But I'm going to stop this for a second to get my notes with the resume here. So this teaching moment right here, Pluto, it's going to take 21 years for Pluto to go from this edge of the blue area, which is 0 degrees Aquarius, all the way to the other area here to the end of Aquarius. So these outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Chiron, which is an asteroid, they move slowly. So you have to keep in mind that Pluto takes 248 years to go around the whole zodiac sign. So last year, the United States, for example, had a Pluto return, meaning that Pluto went back to its original position when the country was born, 1776, which was about 200 and something years ago. All right. So the longer a planet takes to move around the astrology zodiac, the longer it stays in a sign in the chart. So that means if you have any contact with a Pluto, a Neptune, a Uranus, Chiron in your natal chart, it's going to last a long time. The influence will last a long time. So it's very important to remember, you guys. That's why it's important to know the exact degree. If I say attention, all Aquarians, well, it could take 21 years for Pluto to hit your sun in Aquarius because you could be born anywhere from 0 degrees to 29 degrees, 59 minutes of Aquarius. So, yes, there is a lot of math, but I don't like to do generalizations and say things just to attract your attention and be very popular on a social media platform. I'm here to be precise and to tell you what real astrology is about. So when we look at the chart, if you don't know how to read your chart, go into my either TikTok or YouTube channel and find, you could search it with the search bubble there, the magnifying glass, and find the video that will tell you degrees. Degrees is important. If you don't know your sun degrees, then how are you going to be able to tell when Pluto or Neptune or any one of those slow moving planets are going to affect you? Okay. So that's a little side note that's very important. We will go back to the screen and share it so you could see what is happening. So look at this red arrow. You're going to see here that Pluto, this is a symbol for Pluto, is 29 degrees Capricorn. And it's going to, on January 20th, and I'm skipping along here, you could see how fast it's moving. Other things are moving as well. But on January 20th, sometime in the middle of the day, Pluto will go into 0 degrees Aquarius. All right. So this is why you're looking for 0 degrees Aquarius in your chart. But we have a little bit of wiggle room. We call that wiggle room or a margin an orb. So you would be feeling this energy anywhere from 28 degrees Capricorn to 2 degrees Aquarius. And I'm going to leave it at that. So what are you going to be feeling? This is where we get to the juice of the matter. All right. And guess what? Also on the 20th, we also have the sun right here, which will be at 0 degrees Aquarius as well. And I'm going to make it precise for you so you could see that they're both at 0 degrees. There it is. See, 0, 0. So that is really interesting. This is when we have another added layer of interpretation. And as a reminder, we do Western astrology. We use tropical time. This is not ancient, Babylonian, Egyptian, Vedic, Hellenistic, uh, any one of those. Those are ancient uh, methods and traditions of astrology that I do not practice. I understand how it works. Um, it's good to know, but that was done 6,000 years ago. It started, all right. But we've evolved, all right. And so the Western astrology is a more evolved version of astrology, and you pick the one that you want to work with, all right. There's no right or wrong. It's just this is what I'm very good at. I'm good at Western astrology, all right? And I respect anyone else. I just don't do it. So the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was around 1777. That's when it was at 0. Now, if you go through that about 20-year period, what has happened? We've had all kinds back then of revolutionary activities, the French Revolution, the United States Revolution. And then in between all that, we've had civil wars. We had the United States Civil War. Um, However, when it comes to discoveries, irreversible changes. Irreversible changes occurred in intelligence, in education, in what we know. Aquarius is what we know. So, astronomy, astrology, expansion of these knowledge and stuff. All right. And machines that help us with our everyday life, that helps humanity, the engine, discoveries in medicine, all kinds of interesting stuff. Now, I've done videos on the precise things that changed, all right? But the focus is what's going to happen now for the next 21 years. But we must always remember that we're focusing right now on the Pluto in Aquarius. But what's also going to happen is these outer planets are going to shift energies and go into more lighter signs. So the focus is going to be much lighter, not as heavy. Now, the other thing that Pluto in Aquarius represents is thinking, intellectual, communication. All right. So if you pay attention to what's going on now in the world, how are we thinking? Our communication has changed. Our education has changed. Social media is a big tool in educating the collective whole. And as you know, the astrology chart represents your individual purpose and your collective purpose. Why are you here? So we're here now to experience the 0 degrees in Aquarius. We have AI, artificial intelligence, which is affecting everything. Medicine has been using AI for a while. The internet uses AI because that's how it searches with these bots, BOT, okay? Um, a lot of calls, this is communication, are being performed by artificial intelligence. If you write, a lot of people are using artificial intelligence to write. Will it take over an astrologer's mind and experience? Probably not. At this point in time, I don't see it, but maybe in 20 years, um, It could very well be because we're evolving, all right? The human being is evolving. We're never going to go back to picking cotton um, and getting that little seed out without a machine, you know. Just I don't foresee that. Now, I'm not a naysayer, like we're all going to go back and live in the caves. If that's the way it's going to be, well, okay, but that's not my prediction. I see a lot of emphasis with AI as being a tool for those people that write, but will it take over? No, but you must be careful. If you are getting information from the internet, is it real or is it fake? So that's something that you're going to have to work and figure out. You have to be a detective. You're going to have to say, hey, is it real or not? Is this good information or is it made up information? That's part of the problem with too much information. What information is true? Okay. So Pluto in Aquarius also represents humanity. It represents, Pluto represents death. What does death mean? It means a transition. It means a change, an ending, a loss. So, depending on how it affects your chart, it could mean any one of these things. Pluto also represents control. So sometimes if we're too controlling, you know, and you don't want to let go of your control, Pluto will help you out. You will let go of that control. It's just the energy, nothing personal, right? So Pluto is also representing going deep, going very deep, being the detective, going underneath the surface. A surgeon goes underneath the surface and looks for stuff. A detective is always digging and looking for more evidence. Okay. So a psychologist is always digging, and that's why astrology views Scorpio Pluto energy as the psychology. Psychology is big. So the other thing too, we want to always remember, those of you that have learned from me know that when we say Pluto, it's sort of interacting energy with eighth house and the uh, the sign of Scorpio. Those are very similar energies. All right. So if you learn one thing, if you learn what is the energy of Pluto, you have a very good idea what the energy is of the eighth house and Scorpio. Remember, if you have any comments or questions, put them below and we will get you the answers. And if there are any other videos that you would like to see in the future moving forward, always contact us, put them in the comments below. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and also check out our other social media platforms. Okay. If you'd like to schedule, you could always contact us through the website. Call us at 757-513-7771 or email us. Okay. So this this video and these videos, this channel is for you. It's for you to learn and to understand how astrology and even psychic development could be a tool for you to better be prepared for the future. Astrology does not dictate what will happen to you. It tells you what energies are involved in what signs and what degree, and then you could compare it to your chart. That's very simple. The prediction is when we look at your natal chart and we compare it to the sky out there now, along with the 0 degrees in Aquarius. So, of Pluto. So, Pluto energy is very intense because there's longevity with that Pluto energy. It will stay in that particular sign, probably within a house or two. It will, which is an area of your life for a long time, at least, um, at least 20 years. Okay. So it's better to be forewarned. All right. Now, if you follow on TikTok, I've asked a lot of questions and I'm getting a lot of comments where they're saying, what's going to happen? And I asked them based on their, let's say, sun is 29 degrees Capricorn in the seventh house. I'll ask them, what changes have occurred in your relationships? I keep it really simple if you want to share. And the feedback that I'm getting is unbelievable. That is real astrology. And it's the first time, by the way, in modern history where people have a natal chart in their hands and they don't know what it means because they're not astrologers. So my my mission is to teach as many people as I can how to look at their own natal chart and then how to look at the transits, what's going on out there, because Pluto is a transit. Neptune, all these planets that are cycling around, that's called a transit, and they're going through the cycle around the sun. That's when we compare what's going on real time and how it's affecting your natal chart. Okay. So that's the big thing that's going on that everybody's talking about. But make sure you get real good information, and it may not affect you for 20 years. So don't get all shook up. Find out where your sun is, what degree it's in, and then you're going to know how it will affect you. You also have to know what house your sun is in. You have to know what aspects are occurring in your natal chart to the houses and the planets that are involved with this Pluto transit. So if you get lost in the conversation here, just ask. We'll get back to you. That means that we have to do other videos to get everyone back on track. All right. No one ever said astrology, you could learn astrology in one day. Although I had two students that really wanted to learn it in one day. And at the end of it, I asked them, well, what do you think? And they said too much. But they learned a lot. They learned a real lot. And they learned that there's so much that they don't know. So any good astrologer will tell you that. Great astrologers are always studying. Matter of fact, I did a 3-day conference this weekend, and it was very powerful, very much geared towards ancient astrology, but really good information because it's always good to go back to our roots, you know. And so what happened back in history with astrology is that astronomy and astrology was one science. It was never two sciences. Astrologers were astronomers. A lot of them were physicians. A lot of them were monks. All right. They were the smart scientists of the time. Okay. So, and you could do a lot of research and search on the channels of people that did research on what happened historically back in the 1770s to the early 1800s. It was pivotal. But as much as they changed the world then, the world's going to change again, but exponentially, not the same way. So the way we used to communicate, that's all changing. Why? We're going to have a lot of mental telepathy going on. We're going to have a lot of education through platforms like YouTube. We're going to have more internet channels other than the World Wide Web. It's just going to blow up. We're going to have new discoveries in medicine, especially medical technology. if you keep in touch with that area, you'll see the information that's coming down the pipeline. New discoveries, new machines, less invasive procedures, less barbaric, more on the energy medicine side, more Reiki based, holding up your hand, looking at someone's third eye, being able to see auras, using psychic abilities for remote viewing. All right. The government's been doing that for years and years for war and for personal gain for the particular countries. All right. There's a lot that's going to be revealed. But as this information is being revealed, we're going to be learning at lightning speed because Aquarius is associated with Uranus, lightning bolt. Now, as a preview, we're also going to have Neptune go into an air sign, I believe, and I'm going to check my notes right now. Yes, and in the beginning of 2025, Neptune is going into a fire sign. Fire and air, that's just going to make the fire bigger. But right now, we're focusing on January, so we're going to go back to the chart and move it as I usually do, one day at a time, so you can see what is going on. So as we start the month of January, we have planets in the background that are not really going to move much for the whole month. And I will share the screen. So if you see here that Neptune is 25 degrees Pisces, right? It's going to stay in 25 degrees Pisces for the whole month. And that's another slow moving planet that takes, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here. It takes Neptune right here takes 164 years rather, and to go around the whole zodiac, and it takes 10 to 12 years to go from one sign to the next. So it will be for the next 12 years. It will, once it goes into Aries, it will stay there about 12 years. Okay. So Neptune will stay the same for the whole month of January. Then we're going to look at the next fastest or slowest planet, which is Uranus right here. And that's in 19 degrees Taurus. So that is going to stay in this position, but it's retrograde. So that is important. So Uranus will be 19 degrees Taurus for the whole month, along with Neptune, 25 degrees Pisces. And that forms a sextile. See this little dotted line? So there might be some confusion, for the whole world, you think. But this also represents earthquakes. And because this Taurus represents the earth, it represents stability and comfort and security. And that's all been shook up. And this represents our food, farmers and such like that. This is all, constant, unexpected, and sudden changes. But Pluto, remember, this is Earth too, but this is more government Earth and structures and the powers that be. But Earth is more of irreversible changes long term. This is like a lightning bolt. It's not, it happens quickly, but it does affect long term, just like a storm, a lightning bolt knocks out all the power. It takes a while to get everything back and running. The other planet that, or asteroid, that is going here, right here, is Chiron. That's an asteroid. Right now it's 15 degrees Aries, which is a fire sign, and that is going to stay in 15 degrees also for the whole month. So we have these three, one, two, three, plus Pluto, four slow moving entities that will not change the degree, except Pluto's going to go into the next sign, which is a big deal on the 20th. But for the whole month, we have a lot of energy that's just harnessed and perpetuating, percolating, and it's heavy. So pay attention to what's going on. A lot of big things are going on. Use your intuition, you guys. Stay away from negativity. We'll get through this. Remember, everything cycles around, but this is a tough time because we're supposed to learn from all these heavy earth energies here, and of course Saturn, which is earth and heavy, but it's also the last and the last of the visible planets that we see in the sky, which is what the ancient modalities of astrology use. They don't go past Saturn. They don't use the Neptune, Chiron, Uranus, and Pluto because they couldn't see it. So they're very much steeped in the philosophy of you have to use what you see. And a lot of them use the stars, the constellations, and adding, hundreds of stars, if not thousands of stars, into the mix of this astrology chart. It's fascinating the way they do it. But the point is, whatever modality of astrology you like and use, go for it. I'm really good at Western astrology. That's what I've been studying for 50 something years. And that's what I want to share with you because I could teach what I'm really good at. All right. So let's go back to this information for January, with these slower moving planets. So we're just going to have to grit our teeth and grin and bear with it. Okay. So the other backdrop is that Black Moon Lilith is in 10 degrees or 9 degrees, 10 degrees Virgo, and it's going to move to 13 degrees. So it's not going to move very much. So why am I telling you that? Because if you have points in your chart in the 19-degree area, and I say area because you have to factor in the orbs, and in the 15-degree Aries. So 19 Taurus, 15 Aries, 25 Pisces, and 29 Pluto, you're gonna feel these energies. And that's why when you go to the astrologer, preferably me, we're going to look at how many of these areas are making contact with your natal chart. And what is the contact to your natal chart? How strong is it going to be? I know people on TikTok that are communicating with me that are getting hit from 2, 3, 4 different planets right now. And they think it's only Pluto. No. You see, that's why if you don't have an astrologer, save up your money and invest in seeing an astrologer at least once for your natal chart reading, and then a second time for your forecast, and you do that at least once a year. Period. That's it. Just like you go to the doctor once a year, that's just your responsibility until you learn how to read your own chart, which in the next 5 years, everyone will be able to read their own chart. Okay. And I have a sneak announcement. We got 3 books that are in the publishing phase. 2 will probably go out in the next week or so. One is a journal, Guided by God journal, and the other fantastic journal, and the other one is Astro Power. All right, you'll be able to get it online, just a matter of clicks. There and one is an e-fillable journal, and so you could either get it printed, paper, costs more, or electronically, less money. Okay. So, and I believe you'll be able to get it through Amazon too. So we're working out all the details. But the one I'm really getting excited about is the book that's going to have, and I can't show you because it doesn't work, all the cheat sheets that I used, but I created a document with every keyword so I could do better readings, excuse me. And so that way, all you have to do is look on this chart and it will tell you the glyphs, which are the symbols, and it will tell you how many days or years the planet moves around the whole cycle. Everything will be in your fingertips as far as data. Now, how to read the data, like the mechanics, that's another book, not in the pipeline yet. But I have so many students that want, the keywords and the cheat sheets for the keywords that it kind of forced me to publish. So sorry that I digress, but I think that's what keeps these videos interesting, and that's my style. And let me know your thoughts underneath. So, because astrology, I just had that conference, and honestly, some of these speakers, I love them dearly, but they were reading their notes. They read the whole presentation. You talk about going to sleep. If you ever have insomnia and you need to get some sleep, pick up one of these dry 1,000-page astrology books and start reading it. It will just burn out all your circuits, fry your circuits, and you'll just fall asleep because you're going to be exhausted. Like, what the F? What is this? So that's just my natural cure for insomnia. No offense to you authors that have written these beautiful books, but if you're not at that advanced level of understanding astrology, and it took me years, decades to get to that level, then, it could be frustrating. So we got the backdrop of the month of January, and then those are the outer planets. So, somebody called me up. They've been studying astrology for 10 years. They know it all. And I said, yeah. And he says, yeah, well, I don't mess around too much, pay too much attention to Pluto, Uranus, and all that in my chart, because those are not, they're not personal to me. And I said, what'd you say? Repeated it. And I said, excuse me, but I disagree 100%. Because listen, you see how Pluto's not going to move, but Pluto is in this part of the chart? Yes, it's a generational energy. However, what makes it personal in your chart? Listen carefully. Pluto in 29 degrees is a specific number. If that's in your birth chart, then it's also in your 5th house. So anyone born right now, well, in January 1st, 2024, at that time is going to have a very unique placement. Not only that, it's in the 5th house. Not only that, it has a semi-square. It has a sextile. It has a sesquiquadrant. It has a square and another sextile. So it has aspects. These are connections. So Pluto is connected to other planets in the chart. If it's connected to a personal planet, like over here, that makes it even more personal. You see, so if you're studying astrology, promise me that you'll always keep studying on and off. You don't have to be a fanatic. I have taken breaks, because I was raising my family. I was not steeped into it 100% for 55 years, but I was growing and building my astrology knowledge and took as many courses, read as many books as I could. So it's very important to know that all the planets in your natal chart are personal, because the connections to all the planets is personal, and the house that it's in makes it personal. And if it's near one of your angles, see, now these are very sensitive points. A reputable astrologer will focus on what's most important in your chart, and they'll work through the whole chart. It takes about 90 minutes, and it should be interactive. They should be talking to you and asking you questions. They should not be telling you, yeah, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. That is not the way astrology goes. All right. As we move through the days, we are going to look at every single planet now, day one. So we notice here that the sun is in 12 degrees Capricorn. It moves 1 degree a day. So you watch these planets. Mercury goes sometimes 2 degrees a day, 1.5 degrees, and Mars goes a little slower than the sun, and Venus goes about as fast as the sun or a little slower. Okay, these are the personal planets. The moon changes every 3 days. Okay, so that's what we see. And so we're going to look and see here, as the planets change, they are making different aspects or connections to other planets in the sky. So you see here that the sun, 13 degrees Capricorn, is making a T square with the moon and Chiron, and also the south node in Aries, back to the moon. You see that? That's a geometric angle and shape. All right. So yes, there's a lot of math involved with astrology. And if this is over your head and you don't want to hear it, just skip forward. You will learn as you go. That's why I repeat things over and over, because I have people that watch this that are at this level and they want to know more. So I stretch your understanding. And also, the red lines in your chart represent the major aspects, the major connections. And these are the ones that you're going to feel. All right. So also, because we talked about the sun, on the 3rd. So if something in your natal chart is at 13 degrees Capricorn, or any other earth sign or cardinal sign, for those that understand, you're going to have the impact of three areas. This area here with the moon and the south node, which could be a little rough. And then this area here with Chiron and the north node, healing and suffering and wounds and self. Okay. So, but this is for the whole world. But if it's not touching anything in your natal chart, then you're not going to feel the impact. All right. So I wanted you to see that there's always changes as we go. So you see here, now Mars moves into Capricorn on the 4th. That's called an ingress. 0 degrees, it's a new sign. Ingress is a new sign. Capricorn, and it will stay there for about 2 months, give or take. If there's a retrograde, it will last longer. I'm not going to go too much into retrogrades because we don't have that many retrogrades. We only have Uranus in retrograde. Basically, that means that the energy is a little delayed or introspective, inside, more psychological, but more internal. Okay. So you learn a lot of astrology when you work with me. And if you find this fun, let me know. Share your comments. Keep it positive because we like to be positive and light. So now we're on the 5th of January, and a good astrologer is always scanning for certain numbers and things like that. If you haven't noticed that the north node is always opposite the south node. So when you have some energies in one particular area, you always look at the opposite area of the chart for the answers or possible solutions that may be rough for you. Okay, so we're just moving along, just working our way to the 20th, where we know something big is happening. And but you see how the angles are changing. But this T square is pretty much, constant for about a week, so you'll feel it because it's going to, if you have anything contacting, that's about a week. Now let's look here. We've got Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is, let's take one word, responsibility, duty, time, constrict, and Black Moon Lilith, which has to do with darker energies or hidden energies, misunderstood energies, and that kind of feeling, because it could be anything from human trafficking all the way to metaphysics and empowerment, because every planet and every sign, these are all the signs here on the edge, and every planet have two sides, a light side and a dark side, positive, negative. So there's going to be a need to balance between, our physical world and what we do to service and our earth, and the ethereal, invisible world. All right. What's interesting about this opposition, this need to balance, where there could be a tug of war, they're almost like fighting each other, and they're opposite ends of the spectrum. But this is very ethereal, unicorns and doing your buttons, your mushrooms, going into that, mystical world of no structure, no no form, being in the clouds, being in the gas, in the fog, so that's, and it's also selflessness and compassion. Excuse me. Saturn is all about structure, blocks, and restriction, a big boulder. And then this is the metaphysical side, that psychological, metaphysical, spiritual side, where you really can't see it, So just like Pisces, you can't see because it's invisible. This you can't see because it's hidden, but yet it's Virgo. All righty. So the other thing to look at when you're looking at these charts, now this is real-time astrology. Remember that now, see these 1, 2, 3 planets are together, right? That means that that's a triple conjunction because it's within 10 degrees. A stellium is a little different. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to keep moving. And when I see something that's important enough, I will stop and show you what's going on. And if you pay attention to the moon, it moves very quickly. And that's a whole nother ball game, you know, when you look just at the moon, and the cycles of the moon. That's a nice experiment when you have your natal chart. You just get your natal chart and just compare where the moon is current time. That's a transit. These are transits right here. We're talking about a transit. When you see now, this is real time, sky now. But we can move the sky, you know, because the calculations of the big telescopes that ephemeris uses. So it's very important to know that when two energies are together, they are blended together and they work together or they cancel each other out. So there's a lot of symbolism. Astrology is a symbolic language. That's why it's a little more difficult to learn. All right. So we're going to keep moving forward. We're almost at the halfway mark. And we're noticing here that the sun is moving closer to Pluto, which means it's shining in that area. So make sure you're paying attention to your natal chart. And now we're moving again. We're moving again. And we still have these oppositions with the South Node and Chiron. So, you know, with self, I am, and relationships. And that's for the whole world. Okay. And it's very important. So the other thing too is you have to understand that when planets make aspects or contacts, connections to other planets, if they're applying the faster planet moving towards a slower planet, that's called applying aspect. It's stronger. And these lines that are dotted, that means now that they're past that slower moving planet and moving away from that planet, which is called separating. All right. That's why we have these dotted lines. So people are like, well, why is it dotted? Why is it blue? Blue is mainly for well, that's not really opportunistic and benevolent. It's just not as harsh and an energy action content. You know, it's not going to make you take action like a red line is going to make you take action. Because when you're stressed out, when you're uncomfortable, when you have to work and you got to take these obstacles out of the way, it is work. You have to work through it. But a trine, it just happens. Okay. It's very important. So to understand the differences. And then we keep moving and see, there's always these little contacts. You know, the moon is always running around. So the moon always goes towards the slower moving planets because it's the fastest moving planet. That's why you have to know which planet moves fast, which planet moves slowly. And when you learn astrology, you learn all that. At least I hope you do. All right. So here we are, January 20th. That is a big day. All right. It's my mom's birthday. If she lived long enough, she would have been what, 80 years old, it looks like. Something like that. I can't do my math like that, mental math. So here we are. Sun, Pluto together. So this is a powerful day. And it's making 1, 2, 3, 4 aspects. Okay, right here. So 4 aspects to 2 planets together. So that's powerful. And then behind that which is taken center stage. We still have this opposition here with Chiron conjunct the north node opposite the south node. Relationship, purpose, what we need to let go of, healing, wounds. Okay? And we got work to do because it's part of this T-square. There's still a T-square here, with Mars, with Mercury. Mars, what does Mars mean? It could mean anything from aggression, fighting, war, weapons. Mercury is communication, thinking, teaching, training, knowledge, facts. So, and then Capricorn is business, big business, top-down structures, government. Are we going to be told something that's going to hurt us all around January? No one knows. No one knows. I'm just giving you the energies. Okay. So what I'm doing now is a little bit of what we call mundane astrology. That's where a lot of these astrologers make their predictions and they go, well, look at this. Now I could spin this as a disaster. You want me to spin it as a disaster? Oh, well, we're going to have something that's going to change the way that we live, change the way that we are. We're all going to have trauma going on. And it has to do with the way we think, maybe education, maybe these schools are going to shut down. Maybe there's going to be riots and stuff like that because we have Uranus involved right here. We might have bad storms because Uranus has to do with storms. Yeah, it's the end of the world. We could spin it. I could spin it all kinds of ways. But I just like to give you the facts and you guys figure it out. And then in the meantime, we have still this opposition with Saturn, responsibility, duties, and our spirituality. And Black Moon Lilith has to do with human trafficking. How do we know that some of this stuff that we've been trying to find out for the last how many years about Epstein doesn't get revealed? Uranus also has to do with sudden and shocking news, something that shakes you up. So, and by the way, Donald Trump had this kind of energy in his chart where he just couldn't keep his mouth shut, and he would say stuff unexpected, shocking, and rude and whatever, and then it got him in trouble. But this also could happen here, just pretty rough stuff coming through the electronic communication right here. And this is for the whole planet. But how it affects you, you have to look at your individual chart. You see that? So besides this big energy shift of how we're going to change the way we know things as they are, big time, and then the rest of the story. Okay? That's how the astrologers do it. And we're almost now to the end of the month. And you see, that here we have a big grand square that one day, the 23rd. This is a grand square where it has 2 oppositions and 4 squares. Yikes. That's a lot of work, guys. That means a lot of action, and it has to do with aggressive communication. I'm just putting words together. Our purpose, our self-purpose. This is more personal, healing and emotions, home, family. You see? And we make sense of it all. And this has to do with relations, other people, ourselves, and other people. All right? Along with this other stuff. We can't ignore the planets. All right? And we're going to the 24th. There's still a bit of a grand square. Now we eased up. You see how the energies change? And then we have this black moon Lilith, you know, and this hidden stuff and kind of yucky stuff that we don't always understand, and communication. So when I look at these astrology charts, I look to see what world event happened, all right, just the other day. And then I look at the chart to see, wow, look at how the planets were when that big earthquake happened. And right now there's flooding, in certain areas of the West Coast. And you could double check and see what was going on in the sky. So that's what astrologers do. And usually if they look at a country, they'll look at the natal chart of the country and compare it to real-time astrology. I hope you're enjoying this. I know these are long, but we like to be thorough. Now, here's another thing that I want to point out to those scholars in astrology. I'm going to teach you some astrology here. Notice that Mars and Mercury are conjunct, but this is called a partile. Partile means that they're in the same degree or within 60 minutes or 1 degree, okay? So Mercury is 17 degrees Capricorn, 58 minutes, and Mars is 17 degrees, 39 minutes. This is extremely powerful, all right? They're working together. This could be aggressive talk, military talk, communication, all right? And that continues. And it's going to be a lot of adjustments that we're going to have to make, all right? So, and, connects up to Black Moon Lilith. And I always wonder, are they going to find out more about human trafficking? Human trafficking is very much connected with healthcare because they sell these people's, once they're done trafficking them for sex, then their bodies can't be used anymore. They harvest organs, tons of organs, and they make a couple $1 million off the organs of these people. So human trafficking, guys, is real. And if you don't know anything about human trafficking, you need to become aware because it's everywhere, especially in beach communities, especially Virginia Beach. But anywhere where there's a vast area where people could be snapped up. Why do you think they put all these cameras on the streets and stuff? They literally catch human traffickers with these cameras, and they could see that they snatch people right off the street. So if you have children, pay attention. All right. And that Freedom movie, whatever that was with Jim commercial, whatever, you need to see that. The Sound of Freedom is the name of the movie. How I remember that is a miracle. But anyhow, speaking of miracles, yes, this video will end, but I wanted to share with you a teaching moment. I like to do that every time because we have a lot of TikTok family here that watches these long movies or videos because they want to learn astrology. And so here we are on the 30th, the last day of the month, and before the 31st, the last day of the month. And this is what it looks like before February. All right. So we still have a T-square, you see? So I hope you learned something from this video. Again, Ev Zervoudakis. Until next time, we'll see you soon because I'm making another video on the whole year and the next 2 years because we have big changes. And if we live through it, God willing, because we don't know if we have tomorrow. And yeah, so the next video will be on 2024, the whole year, okay? or probably I'll do the whole year before. It'll be around the same time. Thank you. God bless you. Until next time, stay safe.